Hey guys, it's Mike from Red Eye Tactical. Wanted to give you guys a video on our new backers that we've got. We've got two new sets that are out. We've got the asymmetrical set and we've got our light bearing set. So I wanted to give you guys a quick video tour on those and give you guys a couple tips on how we're mounting these to the backers, how we're mounting our molds to the backers, so you guys can get some ideas on how you want to proceed. Maybe you want to try that. I think the way we've got it, it's a way that you guys could really get some modularity out of them. That was a question that we keep getting is, well, how do I use it on more than one gun? So I've got a solution, so I'll show you guys here as we go on. Okay, so we're up close. We've got both our sets of backers right here. This is our asymmetrical set. What is an asymmetrical set? Well, an asymmetrical set is a set of backers that has two different wing angles to it. So if you know how holsters function, if you've got a lesser degree of angle on the back, then it will actually tuck the grip of the gun closer to your body. So that's what we've allowed these to do. So you've got a 30-degree angle on the front and you've got a 20 on the back. So then you could use it for left-handed or right-handed applications just by simply moving it around and repositioning your mold in a different way. The second set are our light-bearing backers. These are large enough, so this is a TLR1 DIY M&P that we split here in our shop. So it allows you to do straight cant, and you can add minimal degrees of cant. You want to be able to leave a little bit of room for your sight channel and some retention if you're using that, retention adjustment. But you can get yourself some cant out of a light bearing holster using our light bearing backers. It creates a holster that looks like this. Very, very clean. I've got my calipers here. We'll do a test for you guys. As you can see, that creates a holster that is if you can see it, 5.83 inches. So just a little over 5 3/4 inches for a light bearing holster with some cant. It's clean. Both sides are very, very nice. And also, if you like some very, very small holsters, we're all about creating minimal holsters. You could use one of our standard backers with a light bearing setup. So what that would do, you would be really, really pushing it, but you could do it. If you were not running any type of suppressor sight channels or anything like that, and you were not using adjustable retention, unless it's really, really small, you could get away with it. There's room there for you to do it. So that's that. Let's talk a little bit about how we're mounting these. So what we've done, this one, we have all dedicated boards for each of our guns. So for me, it's not necessarily a problem, but I recognize it's a problem for other people who don't want to spend the money to get a bunch of different boards. So here's what I would recommend. I would recommend getting yourself 2 to 3 different sizes. And let me rephrase that. I would recommend getting 2 to 3 backer sets. And here's what you can do. So this is an XDS, and what you can do is you can take this and you cut your backer board down to the size of this XDS or thereabouts. And you could use this one board for your M&P shields, your XDS, your Glock 43s, any of the the car pistols, anything that's going to be this small, even like the Glock TLR6. You could use it with this one backer that's been cut down to size for this specific size gun. Then you could get yourself a different set and use it for your full-size pistols, or however you saw fit. You could get some for your left and right-handeds, but you're able to mount them to them. So here's what we've done. All right, so the problem is that you wanted to create a product that people can use a lot without having to spend a bunch of money, because people don't want to spend money. So what you can do, we've taken this and we have pinned this mold to this backer set. So what you can do is, if you can see here, I've got 2 different pin locations here, a bunch of holes drilled, 2 pin locations. So what I can do is you can take a little screwdriver and push out these pins, and then voila, it's free. Now for me, I use my retention adjustment, I leave it in the same place. And what you can do then is, if you can see these holes right here, the ones that I'm circling in the green, if you can see them, those holes are going to be my main guide holes. The rest of them are just for air movement. So those are my two main guide holes. So what you can do, you can take these, those are your two guide pins. You take this and you would set this mold down on top of where you would want it to be according to your your adjustable retention point. That's mine. So I can move this up or down according to where I want it to be. Okay? Once it was there, I'm just going to push it back in just for demonstration's sake. But once it was there, you take some clamps, or once you have it in position where you want it to be, mark it a little bit, take some clamps, and you want to then secure this mold the best that you can temporarily. Okay? Take it on the back, take a smaller drill bit than what you're trying to use. So what we used is, this is a 5/16 dowel. I took and I drilled, I think it was just like some small hole through here, through where my guide pins are. I drilled my hole and then I just marked the mold. That's all I did, is I just marked the mold where I wanted it to be, basically, with that drill bit. Then I took it over there to my drill press and I set my depth gauge, and then I drilled a 1/4 inch into the actual mold. Then I took it out and I cut some pieces of dowel, and then I epoxied those pieces of dowel into the back of the mold, as you saw here earlier. So these are epoxied into the back of this mold right here. They're epoxied. So then now these are permanent, and if I wanted to make this permanent also, then what I can do is then I could just set some epoxy on these and drop this down using my guide pins into where the mold's going to be, and it's going to sit there. I do the exact same process with the back side of the mold, the other half, and I'm done. And these are permanent. I was running into all kinds of issues trying to drill pilot holes and use screws. I was running into issues with molds splitting. So I found this to be much more effective for me. So that's what I would recommend, and you could set this up if you were not using this adjustable retention space like we do. If you just were using a piece of wood or some kind of mold specific type, what you could just do, it'd be so easy just to set the shield right back down into that one and set that shield retention into there, or set the Glock 43 down into those pins as well, just by using the exact same system, just using those existing guide holes and just marking the mold and then drilling them down with your drill press. So that's what I would recommend for setting these molds up. It can be a little bit tricky and difficult if you're not paying attention, or you're not really paying attention to the details. This is one of those things that once it's done once and you don't have to do it again. So this is a mold that came, or a shell that came off of this mold specifically. So there it is. It came off of there. I think it's really, really clean. You get some really good detail, and just like every other vacuum form mold, you need to drill your air holes if it's going to work really, really well. So we've drilled some air holes. We could probably get a little bit better here. This is a new one that we're working on in the last few weeks, so we're going to keep working on it and see if we can get it. One last thing that you can do also, if you know where you like to drill your holes and you already have all of your markings done, what I would suggest is making a template. Okay, let's talk about templates. I vacuum form this one piece, I'll heat up another piece of Kydex, and I will place it on top of this one. So I've got a double layer that I've just vacuumed. Then basically I will take this, cut it out exactly how I want my holster to be. Perfectly. Then I'll take the outside piece I just vacuumed from the top of it, and I'll trace that out with my holes and everything marked. I'll take it, set it back down right here on top of the mold again, and then I will then take it and mark my holes onto this mold. You know, exactly where I want them to be. And the easiest thing that I've found, and that's been working with Andrew from Henry's Holsters, is to actually have You could use a little piece of, like if you have a finish nail, you could cut yourself a tiny little piece of finish nail and drill a small pilot hole. I mean tiny. And just set those small pieces down according to whatever hole pattern that you're using. Set those small pieces inside so it creates a little protrusion from the mold. When it's vacuum formed, it's going to leave you a little dimple that you see that you can automatically drill. And it's going to be so simple to do. So you could already have your hole pattern set up in these. You could do all kinds of things with these. So definitely the sky is the limit if you're willing to use a little bit of ingenuity and kind of figure out exactly how you're doing. So if you guys have got any questions, please feel free to comment or email me. My email is mike@redeyetacticalgear.com, and we'll get as many questions answered as we can. So yeah, with that, guys, have a good one. And like I said, if you have any questions, just let us know.